Oh, something's in the air, isn't it? Can you feel it? That tension in your chest, that twitch in your eye, that little hum in the back of your skull that says something's about to break. Not fall apart, no, break open. The kind of shift that doesn't knock politely or wait for your schedule to clear. It erupts. Quiet at first, like a crack under your feet that everyone else keeps ignoring. But you've been feeling it. Long before anything moved, long before the signs showed up. You ever notice how the pain sharpens right before the miracle? The pressure builds. The lights get dimmer. People start pulling away. Doors close. Smiles fade. Everything starts to feel heavier, tighter, like life itself is trying to squeeze you out. And that's when most people tap out. They call it bad luck, wrong timing. They start shrinking, making themselves small, easier to carry, less noticeable. But you know you weren't made for that. Not you. You felt it, haven't you? That crackle in the air, that shifting under your skin. Like the whole world is holding its breath, waiting for you to wake up and notice the storm is not here to drown you. It's here to reveal what's been hidden, because here's the truth they won't say out loud: the shift always shows up in disguise. It doesn't come with fireworks or flashing signs. It comes through tension, through loss, through sudden changes that feel like betrayal but are really breakthroughs wearing masks. And discomfort. Discomfort is the alarm clock of destiny. It doesn't whisper, it shakes. It rattles everything that isn't nailed down, everything that's not supposed to stay. And the more uncomfortable it gets, the closer you are, but you've been taught to run from it, haven't you? To call it attack, to beg for it to stop. You weren't taught that the discomfort is a message. It's the signal. It's the knock on the inside of your ribs saying, move now, prepare now, let go now. But instead you held on tighter to people, to places, to patterns. Because letting go feels like dying when your identity has been built on survival. And still that discomfort kept coming. Stronger, louder, more frequent. Until ignoring it became more painful than the shift itself, and that's where you are. That's why your body's been tense. That's why the old distractions aren't working. That's why your patience is paper thin. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're close. So close that the pressure isn't about punishment anymore, it's about positioning. You're being squeezed into alignment, forced into clarity, shoved out of anything and everything that can't come with you. And it hurts. Oh, it hurts. But pain is the price of transition, and this transition, it's massive. Too massive for comfort, too real for pretending, too holy for logic. See, people think blessings float in on clouds, but chosen ones know better. Blessings break. They rearrange. They bulldoze. They expose what was never stable to begin with. That relationship that cracked. Necessary. That job that slipped through your fingers. Timed. That door that slammed in your face. Sacred sabotage. Because something bigger is being born, and you can't drag dead weight into delivery. You can't bring ego into elevation. You can't fake your way through this next level. And that's why the shift feels violent. That's why your peace feels like it's been taken hostage. Because there's a version of you that has to die for the next one to live. And the discomfort, that's the funeral music, but you're still here. Breathing. Watching the chaos swirl around you while something inside refuses to break. You've cried, sure. Screamed into pillows, questioned everything. But you haven't collapsed. Not completely. And that's how you know the shift isn't outside, it's in you. It's already begun. You've already moved. The old you wouldn't have survived this. The old you would run. But here you are, raw, unpolished, wide-eyed and exhausted, but ready. Ready in ways you didn't even realize. Ready without needing proof. Without needing permission. Without needing applause. That's how divine shifts work. They show up when you're stripped of everything else you thought you needed it. And the discomfort, the pressure, the stretching. It's just the echo of your future calling your name louder than your fear. You can feel it now, can't you? the current, the pulse. Like something's about to snap, and not in a bad way. In the kind of way that sends waves through your bones. The kind of way that changes everything. Not gradually, not politely, but instantly. The kind of shift that turns survivors into warriors and quiet prayers into answered ones. And it always starts with discomfort. Always with that ache, that fire. That nudge you can't unfeel no matter how still you sit or how loud you distract yourself. It's here now, not later, not someday. Now, and you know what funny thing about timing, everyone swears they understand it until it turns on them. They preach patience when it's your storm, but panic the second clouds gather over their own heads. Trust the process, they say, everything happens for a reason. Until they're the ones stuck waiting, pacing the room, staring at locked doors that once swung open with ease. Then suddenly, divine timing doesn't feel so divine. It feels cruel, cold, like a joke without a punchline. But see, that's the twist. Timing isn't about being late. It's about being lined up. And most people don't like what that means. It means that your yes can be delayed because someone else hasn't finished their no. It means that. Sometimes you're ready, but the room isn't. The opportunity isn't ripe. The foundation isn't firm. And if you force it, you'll build something beautiful on sand. That's why it stalls. That's why it stings. Because you're not just being protected from failure, you're being protected from success that would have suffocated you, from applause that would have made you arrogant, from people who clap for your light but secretly pray for your burnout. But no one likes waiting. Especially when the dream is clear, when the signs have been flashing like neon in your chest. You know what you're meant for. You've seen it in flashes, in dreams, in conversations that hit a little too hard to be coincidence. So the delay starts to feel like rejection, like silence, like maybe the universe forgot your name. But that's the lie. The real story is happening underground in places your eyes can't reach. Alignment isn't loud, it's not glamorous, it's messy, it's slow, it strips you down, takes your plans, rips them apart, and leaves you with nothing but trust. And that's the test, isn't it? Can you wait while staying ready? Can you stand still and still sharpen your sword? Because most people waste the waiting, they rot in it, grow bitter in it. But the chosen ones, the ones built for something massive, they train in the dark, they listen when it's quiet, they obey without audience. Because they know when the shift hits, it won't come with a warning. It'll be sudden, violent, swift. And if you're not aligned, you'll miss it. That's what alignment is. Not being perfect. Not having it all figured out. But being in the right place with the right heart. When the wind changes, you think the door's locked. Maybe it is. But did you ever think the delay was because the room behind it is still under construction? Did you think maybe the blessing is too big to be rushed? That if it showed up when you wanted it, it would crush you because your roots aren't deep enough to hold it? People always want fruit. They never ask about the soil, but the soil is where the miracle brews, where identity is stripped, where ego is murdered, where patience is forged. You don't grow in the spotlight. You grow in the shadows. That's alignment. Letting the roots stretch before the bloom. And that ache in your spirit, that's not punishment, that's pressure. The kind that molds, the kind that says, keep your eyes up, something's moving. You might not see it, but it sees you. It's heading your way at the speed of obedience. Not yours, someone else's. Because that door isn't just about you, that shift, it's a chain reaction. A million little variables snapping into place. One yes here, one no there, one stranger being move to make space for you. One enemy being rerouted so they don't poison your promise. You think you're waiting, but what if the shift has been waiting on them? And while it aligns, you're a idol. No, you're being tested. Can you stay faithful without feedback? Can you hold the vision without external proof? Can you hear not yet and not translate it into never? Most can't. That's why many are called, few are chosen. Because choosing requires endurance. And alignment isn't for the fragile. It's for the ones who don't need to see the path to take the first step. who don't need confirmation to stay committed, who can smile while bleeding because they trust the cut is surgical, not savage, and when it hits, because it will, you won't have to chase it. You won't have to force it. It'll fit. Like puzzle pieces falling into place without explanation. People will call it luck, but you'll know. You'll remember the nights of silence, the hours of resistance, the fire you didn't fan but refused to let go out. That's alignment. Showing up, staying sharp, even when it's still. Especially when it's still. You ever see a door slammed so hard it rattles your bones? Not just closed, slammed, shaken shut like it was never yours to walk through in the first place. And you stand there blinking at it, confused, maybe even a little offended, thinking, but I was ready, wasn't I? That's the part that stings. Thinking you were prepared, thinking you did everything right, only to watch the opportunity twist its neck and walk away without a goodbye. That's when people panic. They start clawing, pushing at doors that were never meant to stay open, kicking against timing, fighting the silence like it owes them an explanation. But what if the slam was sacred? What if the very thing that made you feel unwanted was actually your redirection? See, people romanticize the idea of a new beginning, fresh start, open road. But they forget that every birth starts with pressure. Every transformation demands a funeral. And sometimes the old must be ripped from your grip, not because you're being punished, but because you wouldn't let go any other way. The door didn't just close, it shut you out on purpose. Not to hurt you, to save you, to protect what's coming next from the infection of what you were about to carry into it. Because what's ahead, it can't survive in the same room with what you were trying to drag behind you. You thought it was just a setback. But old things don't just step aside, they fight to stay. Habits you thought were healed, people you thought were loyal, versions of you that pretend they've evolved but are still crouching in the corners of your decisions, whispering doubt when the lights go out. Those things don't leave quietly. That's why the door had to be slammed. Because if it stayed cracked open, you'd keep peeking back, keep crawling through the same cycle, keep thinking maybe, just maybe, it could work if you tried one more time. But doors don't leak. They're honest, brutally honest. They reveal what's no longer for you without needing a monologue to explain why. And when the universe slams one in your face, it's not being cruel, it's being surgical. It's cutting the tie before it cuts deeper into you. But most people don't like that kind of honesty. They chase ghosts, try to pry the hinges off things that already made their choice, not realizing that when closes, it's not the end, it's a redirect. A turn in the hallway toward a door you didn't even know existed. That's the twist, isn't it? The best doors never advertise. They don't flash. They don't announce their value. They sit in silence, waiting for the right version of you to arrive. The one who stopped begging for closure. The one who doesn't need to understand everything before obeying. The one who finally realized that peace isn't found in forcing your way forward, it's in trusting what couldn't follow was never part of the destination to begin with. People will try to guilt you into reopening what nearly broke you. They'll say you've changed like it's a bad thing, like evolution should come with an apology. But those voices, they're echoes from the door that just shut. They're echoes from comfort zones wearing costumes of safety. And if you let them pull you back, you'll miss the shift that was always waiting on the other side of the slam. So, yeah, the door closed. It stung. It felt personal. Maybe it was, but maybe personal isn't bad. Maybe personal is intentional. Maybe personal means divine. Maybe personal means this shift wasn't just random. It had your name carved into its timing, its fire, its silence. Maybe it was a holy disruption, a sacred reroute. And maybe, just maybe, the slam wasn't meant to stop you. Maybe it was meant to wake you up. Ever notice how the louder the calling gets, the more silent you feel? Like something's pulling you forward, screaming inside your chest, but outside it's crickets. No signs, no support, just a gnawing pull that won't let you rest. You start walking even though you don't know where you're headed, just this invisible pressure telling you move. And everyone around you, they don't get it. They think you're being dramatic or lost, or worse, delusional. But deep down, you know, you've been marked, chosen. called out of the crowd not for applause, but for purpose. And purpose, well, it doesn't show up with fanfare. It shows up with isolation. You start losing people, places, things that used to feel like home, not because they changed, because you did. They look at you with the same old expectations, like you're still that same little version they could control, guilt, manipulate. But something inside you won't play along anymore. The mask doesn't fit. The routine makes you itch. The conversation drains the life right out of you. That's when you know the shift is real. That's when you know it's not just in your head, it's in your bones. Something's coming. You can feel it, but it's quiet still. And that silence, that's the preparation. See, people think being chosen is glamorous. They think it comes with halos and followers and perfect peace. But what they don't see is the process, the stripping, the aching, the crushing. Being chosen means you're required to go first, to break first, to lose first, to walk alone while everyone else is still asleep. And while they laugh, you listen. While they run, you wrestle. While they numb out, you feel everything. And that's what makes it hard to explain. Because how do you tell someone you're being pulled by a voice they can't hear? You stop trying to make sense of it. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for them to clap. You realize you're not here to impress, you're here to obey. And obedience, it's not pretty. It's not polished, it's messy. It's terrifying. It's waking up at 3 a.m. with your chest on fire because something is telling you to let go of what you thought you couldn't live without. It's deleting the contact, saying the no, shutting the door without looking back. And you do it not because you're fearless, but because you're done pretending that comfort is your destiny. The chosen aren't the loudest. They're not always the ones on stage. Sometimes they're the quiet ones, the misfits, the overlooked. The ones who sit in the back and see everything. The ones who feel too much, who ask the questions nobody else dares to. The ones who can't unsee the cracks in the system. The ones who've been broken and still got up. And that's the part no one claps for. The survival, the private wars, the silent wins. But heaven sees it. Purpose sees it. Destiny sees it. And it waits for the moment you finally stop resisting and step fully into what's always been waiting. You don't get to be chosen and stay comfortable. You don't get to be chosen and keep playing small. You don't get to be chosen and stay quiet when your spirit is screaming. That fire in you, it wasn't meant to be cute. It wasn't meant to fit in. It was meant to burn through walls, through life cycles that held your family hostage for generations. You're not here to decorate the cage, you're here to tear it down. And they're not going to thank you for it, not at first. They're gonna distance themselves, accuse you of being too much, too intense, too focused, but the ones who are truly called, they don't flinch anymore. They don't shrink. They don't need the room to agree, because the assignment became louder than the applause. And now every closed door feels like a confirmation. Every loss feels like alignment. Every silence feels like strategy. Because chosen ones learn to stop begging for signs when the storm is already speaking, when the delay is direction, when the isolation is divine, when the resistance is proof that what's ahead must be powerful enough to scare hell itself. That's why the pressure is heavier now. That's why the clarity hurts. Because you've stepped into the part of the path where comfort dies and purpose takes over. They always say timing is everything. But no one warns you that divine timing rarely shows up when you're ready. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't ask how you're feeling. It just shows up unannounced, inconvenient, loud in its silence. And suddenly, everything you thought you were waiting for is here. But not in the way you imagined. Not dressed in gold or comfort or certainty. No, it comes wrapped in chaos, confusion, conflict. Because apparently when destiny calls, it likes to see if you'll still answer when everything looks wrong. See, people love the idea of breakthrough until it shows up looking like a breakdown. They want miracles, but without the mess. They want the crown without the crushing. But that's not how this works. That's not how it ever worked. You think the shift is supposed to feel peaceful? No. The shift feels like betrayal. It feels like shaking hands and sleepless nights. It feels like standing at the edge of something massive with nothing but your belief keeping you from turning around. And still you stay. You obey. You don't even know why anymore, you just know you have to enchant. While the world keeps spinning. You're stuck in this in-between. Not where you were, not yet where you're going. It's maddening. You try to explain it, but the words don't land. You try to act normal, but your soul won't let you. Because something in you is screaming, this is it. This is the moment. But it looks nothing like you thought it would. It looks like failure, like rejection, like silence. Somewhere in the wreckage, something's growing. Something's changing. Not outside you and you. Because before the shift can happen around you, it has to wreck what's within you. This isn't just a season, it's a confrontation between who you've been and who you're becoming, between comfort and calling, between fear and fire. And you don't get to keep both. That's the deal. That's the cost. You don't get to walk into the new while clinging to the old. You don't get to become without first unbecoming. So it rips, it shakes, it shakes. All the things that were stable, gone. All the things you were sure about, questioned. All the things you thought made you valuable, exposed. That's how it prepares you. Not by handing you more, but by stripping away everything you thought you needed to feel powerful, because if you still need applause, you're not ready. If you still need approval, you're not ready. If you still need things to make sense before you move, you're not ready. The shift doesn't wait for your understanding, it waits for your surrender. And surrender, that's the part nobody teaches. Surrender looks like insanity to the untrained eye. Letting go when you don't have a backup plan. Saying yes when you don't know the outcome. Walking away from what was secure because something in your gut told you it's time. That's what separates the chosen from the crowd. Not perfection, not performance. Obedience in the dark. People will say you've lost your mind. That you're walking away from everything you worked for. That you're risking too much. But they don't hear what you hear. They don't feel what you feel. They weren't there when everything fell apart. And the only thing keeping you alive was the whisper that said, keep going. That whisper wasn't random. That whisper was a warning and a promise. A warning that everything is about to change and a promise that you'll survive it. But not as who you were. As who you were always meant to be. You'll notice strange things when the shift hits. People you thought were permanent vanish like smoke. Plans.